You're looking for a gaming laptop that won't feel like a compromise, something that sits comfortably on a desk, runs the titles you love at high frame rates, and doesn't empty your wallet the moment you power it on. The hesitation most buyers feel is real. You've seen the flashy specs, but you wonder if the machine will actually stay cool during marathon sessions, if the massive 18-inch screen is practical for a small apartment, and whether the price reflects everyday value or just a marketing hype train. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a few weeks with a comparable 17-inch gaming rig before the G18 arrived, and the first thing I noticed was how the extra 2 inches of display real estate changes the way you interact with games. The ROG Nebula panel pushes a 1610 QHD resolution at 240 Hz with a 3 milliseconds response time, which means the image stays razor-sharp even when you spin around in fast shooters. In practice, that translates to noticeably smoother mouse movements in titles like Valorant and less motion blur when you're pulling off quick drifts in Forza Horizon. The higher vertical space also helps productivity. You can keep a Discord chat, a web browser, and the game window all visible without constantly alt-tabbing. But that display isn't the only thing that defines the experience. Under the hood lives an 13th Gen Intel Core i7-13650HX paired with an RTX 4060. For most modern games at 1440p, you're comfortably hitting 80,100 frames per second on high settings, and the RTX 4060's DLSS 3 support pushes those numbers higher without sacrificing image quality. When I tried Cyberpunk 2077 with ray tracing on, the laptop managed a stable 70 frames per second, which is impressive for a 4060 and proves the GPU isn't being throttled by the chassis. The 16 GB of DDR5 4800 memory feels ample for multitasking. I could stream, run Photoshop, and have a couple of Chrome tabs open while gaming, and the system never stumbled. The cooling system is where ASUS really leans into its intelligent cooling branding. The G18 uses a dual-fan layout with a vapor chamber and a dedicated heat pipe network that directs hot air toward the rear exhaust. In real-world terms, that means the laptop stays below 85 degrees even after a 2-hour Elden Ring marathon. The fans do ramp up noticeably, creating a low level where you'll hear if you're using a headset, but the sound never crosses into a distracting roar. The trade-off is that the chassis is on the heavier side at around 6.5 kilograms, about 14 pounds. It isn't something you'll want to lug around campus all day, but it's still portable enough to slide onto a coffee table for a weekend gaming session. One of the features that often trips up buyers is the MUX switch. It lets you bypass the integrated graphics and feed the display directly from the RTX 4060, effectively removing the overhead of NVIDIA Optimus. For competitive players, that can shave a few milliseconds off input latency, which you'll notice in fast-paced shooters. The switch is accessible through a simple key combo, so you can toggle it on the fly. If you're primarily using the laptop for streaming or light gaming, you can leave Optimus enabled and benefit from better battery life. The G18 still offers about 45 hours of mixed use on a single charge, which is decent for a machine this powerful. Now, let's talk about storage. A 2 TB PCIe Gen4 SSD provides more than enough room for a growing library of AAA titles, and the Gen4 bandwidth means load times feel instantaneous. I watched Starfield load a new planet in under 10 seconds, and game installs that once took 30 minutes on older SATA drives now finish in a quarter of the time. The downside is that the SSD is soldered onto the motherboard, so expanding storage means you'll have to replace the whole drive, which isn't ideal for users who like to upgrade piece by piece. Who should consider the ASUS ROG Strix G18? If you're a serious PC gamer who wants a desktop-class experience in a single package, the combination of a high refresh, high-resolution display, strong GPU performance, and a cooling system that actually works makes it a compelling choice. It also fits creators who need a large screen for video editing or 3D work, because the color accuracy on the Nebula panel is solid out of the box and you can calibrate it further if needed. The free 90-day Xbox Game Pass Ultimate adds extra value if you're already in the Microsoft ecosystem or want a quick way to test a broad catalog of games. Who should skip it? If you're on a tight budget, the price point is still higher than a 15-inch laptop with a comparable RTX 4060, and you might get a better price-to-performance ratio by stepping down to a 144Hz panel or a lower-tier GPU. Also, if you travel frequently and need a lightweight companion, the G18's size and weight could become a nuisance. A 14-inch Ultrabook or a cloud gaming setup might serve you better. Finally, if you primarily game at 1080p and don't care about ultra-high refresh rates, you may not fully leverage the 240Hz Nebula display and a cheaper model.